Welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome, everybody. Happy Friday. I hope you guys are excited to join us here today. Dr. Carolina and I are just really looking forward to a great conversation. So if you are joining us, make sure that you drop some comments down below and let us know where you're joining from. Feel free to say hello. Happy Friday. Feel free to say hello to us because we're getting ready to jump into a topic that is so passionate and so exciting for the both of us. It's something that when we decided to have our catch-up conversations, it was born out of us having a catch-up chat. Don't you know, sometimes when you are just having conversations with somebody, ideas are birthed. And this, what we're doing right now here today, is pretty much an idea that is being birthed live. So hello, T-Lynn. Good to see you here. Thanks for joining us. We are so excited to be talking to you guys here today and just really chatting it up about embracing the motherhood identity. So, you know, it is Women's History Month. And just in a few days, we're going to be celebrating International Women's Day. Dr. Carolina and I have decided that we'll have this conversation so we can really talk about some of the things that we discuss behind the scenes and really come up and show how to serve the community with this conversation. So I am so pleased to introduce to you Dr. Carolina Tillotson. She is an Atlanta-based chiropractor. She is a speaker, a healer, a catalyst for healing, and she's pretty much devoted to helping other people reach their potential optimally, physically, mentally, nutritionally, all that good jazz. She's just awesome. Dr. Carolina, I'll just let you say a few words here before we jump right on into the conversation.
Yes, so thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. And I'm first off so excited to be able to have this conversation with you. When we were having it, personally, it was something that just flowed. When you have just this synergy and this elevation of a conversation, and it was just like, we have to share this with people. And so I'm so excited to be able to do that with you. And so let's jump in.
Yeah. So we talk about this word. I just want us to let's just talk about this word identity, because for many of us, especially as women, as moms, I feel sometimes we really don't give that word as much intention as we do. Sometimes we have an identity plan for our careers or for our certifications or even our vacations. We have an idea. Hello, Alberta from Atlanta. We have an idea about what it is that we want to do and what we want to accomplish from those aspects. So when we talk about identity, what does it mean to you? And can you share a little bit about how you see moms embrace this word or aspect in your practice?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways the word identity can apply. And the first is going to be kind of a more wide sweeping view of the word or definition of the word, in that mother does not just mean someone who has biologically had a child, right? It is someone who could have adopted a child. So I was sharing with Monique before that I see women who identify in this mother role, but they could have children, they could not have children, they could hope to one day have children, they could have adopted children, they could hope to never have children, or they're showing up as great aunts and grandmothers. And so this word mother can be a lot more inclusive and a bigger umbrella than just having biological children. And I know when we've talked about how using, and you do a really great job of talking about how it doesn't just define who you are or limit you, in your aspirations for how you want to also show up in the world.
Yeah. I mean, because for me, when I became a mom, at first there was so many different societal pressures around how I should show up and how I should behave. I became a mom at 18 years old. Hey, Jonathan, thanks for joining. Listen, I became a mom at 18 years old, and I will tell you that there was sort of a default system or a pattern that emerged, and people around me would say, oh, you're not going to finish school. It's going to, they were approaching me with the mindset that there was this identity I had to take on that was a limiting identity, because I chose, well, I didn't choose, it was an accident, but hey, because I became a mother, it was like, why are you not embracing this aspect of identity? And so I feel like I love what you said when you said it's not just about biology. It's not just about biology. It's about how you see yourself. It's about that mindset that you choose to embody, and it's open and it's inclusive for everyone. I don't think that we stop to actually say, what is the vision? Like, what is that vision that we hold as mothers? We get into that default, and you talk a lot about the difference between doing and being. We both talk about that, so let's chat that up. Oh, Jonathan says, my birth mother was forced to give me up for adoption. I met her in 2018, and a part of her story was that she had adopted a boy, which I saw as balance. Thank you for that, Jonathan.
That's a beautiful share. Thank you.
So
So
can you,
yeah,
yeah,
say that one more
talk
time.
about doing and being.
So, it's very easy in our culture to be caught up in doers, that we base our worth and our esteem on how much we can do, how busy we can be in the day. And again, busy doesn't always equal productive. And so, whenever I work with people, one of the things that's really important is that there's this move away from just doing for the sake of doing, but that we get to be and be present and understand that the mothering roles and the seasons of mothering will change, even though at the time they can seem very all-encompassing and like they'll never end. They really do change and they transition. And so just the reminder that there is to be is an elevated version, even though we have lots of things to do. And, moms can sometimes forget that. Dads can forget it too, but we're talking about moms today.
Definitely. I know when I write about this actually in my book, and I could relate to this so much because that doing is sort of that default script, that default script that we just know, as long as we have children, there are things that we need to do. I mean, that's the reality of it, right? Things that we need to do. But sitting down and thinking about that vision, well, how do I begin to have that vision for myself as a mother? What does that even look like? I like to use these examples of, you are being awarded the Mom of the Year award. And what are you being celebrated for? Like really thinking about, what does that vision for me look like? And is it because my children are getting all A's? Is it because I'm allowing my children to express themselves when they come into their teenage years or even their adults? We have their adult children, and I'm having intentional conversations with them. I have good relationships with them. It's not about age. It's not about age. It's not about biology. It's really about that identity. And I think once we start to have this vision for ourselves and we strip away some of those things that we have to do, we're now in this place of, okay, this is who I get to be and demonstrate and role model behaviors and practices for my kids. I'm one of those people that the do. Like I think Dr. Carolina, I think I would have been like the do queen, and that's how I was raised. But when I came into that awareness of, okay, these are not things that I need to do, but I need to really think about, how am I demonstrating and modeling for my children aspects of balance, aspects of rest, aspects of self-expression? You talk about the physiology of a mother. I love when you talk about like the being is that elevated energy, that elevated aspects, and you do a lot of body work here.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about that a little bit? The physiology of a mom?
Yes, certainly. And I want to go backward just a minute, because doing isn't bad. And so I don't want people to go, because I'm like you, and I'm like probably a lot of people that are listening, right? We have things we actually do have to do. So don't stop doing things. But it is about, and you do a really good job talking about it, being intentional about it, and knowing that you have a choice. So if you don't know that you have the choice, then you don't have the choice. But we're telling you today you have a choice to show up intentionally, and that translates into the doingness, right? But at the core of all that, like checking in and saying, who am I being in this process? Am I happy with it? Am I fulfilled with it? And where are those gaps? So that transitions into physiology, because I see people when there is a gap between where they are and where they want to be, right? And moms especially start to feel, especially with the past year that we've had, there is an extreme amount of overwhelm. There are multiple hats being worn that typically were delegated to other people, and moms are having to do more and be present for a lot more. There's I see moms who are very tired. It can be a physical tiredness. It can be an emotional tiredness. Sleep could be off. There might be some aches and pains, maybe headaches. Hormones might be off, where cycles are showing that there's not a rhythm to them. And those are all communications that will typically start out as whispers, meaning you don't technically have to listen, and you could still show up and do what you need to during the day and get things done. You can still do, right? And so the body will whisper before it yells, typically. And so, I see moms in a range of that, where some are like, hey, things are starting to feel off. And I also have moms that are like, whoa, things are out of control and I just really need help. And at that point, I'd like to liken it to, before the simmer starts to like a boil, there's a difference. And so understanding for anyone who's listening to me right now, understand you do not have to wait for the full boil to take action. In fact, it's better if you listen to the whispers, so it doesn't have to get like that.
That's powerful. The whispers, the yells, oh my gosh, the boils, I could definitely understand everything that you're talking about, because the year was challenging and it still is challenging. And especially even for the kids, the kids who are home and their routine has been thrown into some sort of chaos or frenzy. It's a lot. And so I love that you bring in that reminder and aspect for moms to know that, guess what? It's okay. Like, doing is not bad. Being aware and having the choice to choose, being aware is empowering, and it is basically freedom. The challenge is when we're not aware, we're operating just from that default, and we're allowing those feelings of guilt and overwhelm and shame and frustration to really take over and cloud in. But it's really in that awareness that unlocks so much for us as moms to say, you know what? I'm just going to be okay with this. I'm going to allow what's going on, what comes up. I'm going to address what comes up and not hold myself to some standard of perfection that I feel that society has ingrained in me, that if I am not doing 3 meals a day, if I'm not on homework every night, if my children are playing video games, and I need a break, that I'm a bad mother. And that's not the case. So it's like, this is where we get into community. You and I are both really big on community. I remember when I first started homeschooling my son, I wrote about this actually in one of my stories, but I was homeschooling him. And in the beginning, this is by choice. Okay. So a lot of people are homeschooling their kids, or schooling their kids at home, and it was not by choice. So I had a choice to do this. And so after making that decision, in the beginning, I was like, okay. Before that, I felt like I had to do traditional school. That was the way that it had to be. This is what good moms do. And I had that mindset. And so until I was able to say, you know what? No, I am the type of mother that allows her children to have the best academic experience for them. I had to shift in my mind to say, okay, this is not something I have to do. I don't have to do traditional school, but I have to be the mother who will seek the best academic opportunities, whatever that may be for my child. So when I first started homeschooling, I'm going to tell you, it was very rough. It was tough. And so at that time, I was like, you know what? I'm not telling anybody this, because I don't want to hear, I told you so. I don't want to hear none of that stuff. I looked for people that were successful doing this, successful 2 years, 3 years, 10 years. And those were the people that I latched onto, connected with in community. So when we are talking about that community, and you have that motherhood identity, and you're clear, and you have that vision of who you want to be and how you want to show up, not just what we have been, presented with a cookie cutter model. Once we have that, it's really important to jump into that community aspect. What do you think?
Absolutely. And we are not meant to go through this experience of life alone, right? There's partnerships, obviously more intimate relationships, but even on a broader scale, there's community, there's connection. And the name of my practice is the Wellness Connection, because we don't, we never heal alone. Like, true healing is done, I believe, collectively, right? And when someone heals themselves, the ripple effects are felt, strongest to the people next to them, and then it ripples out, making an impact, because that person is able to show up better in the world when they are whole and they feel that their needs are being met. So one of the gaps that I've definitely seen in practice this past year is that lack of connection. We're doing the very best we can virtually, and thank goodness we have this wonderful technology. But if you're feeling like there is a gap and you miss other humans, you are not alone. Every single person I have seen since the start of the pandemic has expressed that in some capacity, that they miss other people, even the most introverted of people. And so one of the things that I love about both you and I is that we have created these communities that are welcoming for people. So if people want to just dip their toe in the water and they feel like they need a little bit of connection, there are ways for them to stay connected to you and I, and by default, the people that we know and the people that we get to serve. And so, yeah, I would encourage people to take a second to reflect and see if you need people, and to start to take the smallest step possible to create that connection with someone else, and validating that, yes, you need to be with people in some capacity.
I love that. Take that honest look. Like, really, you're feeling lonely. You're feeling lonely. A lot of people are feeling lonely,
Even
even
if
before.
you are in a partnership, you
Oh,
can
yeah.
still be in a relationship with someone and still feel like you need people, and that's okay. We are social creatures.
Even before the pandemic, I mean, the stats were talking about the number of people feeling lonely. And I mean, this is not just for mothers. I know we're talking about embracing that motherhood identity. I think for moms, it gets even more challenging because of the year and all the additional layers and responsibilities, and then, the work pressures and things like that. But this happened even before the pandemic started. So it's not just a physical presence. It's really that emotional presence. And you said something just now. I said we need to dive into this. Okay, you said collective healing.
Yes.
Okay, what are you talking about?
So there's a couple different ways to explain that. One of the intentions behind making a statement like collective healing is that whenever someone is disconnected within their body, whenever they are, for me, my specialty is the nervous system. So I work to help people every day have a better connected nervous system. That's the part of them that controls everything. It's how they perceive the world. It's how they navigate the world. It's how well their body works or doesn't work. And so for me, as I'm working with that person and I'm teaching them about their body and helping that body heal, they now have extra energy that is not lost in a dysfunctional pattern. They have extra energy in their actual being. And then when people start to feel better and they start to function better, they can't help but show up better. It's just a natural thing. And so they get to show up as better moms and dads and students and employers. That extra stress that's been carried around in their body, gets to be turned around and used for good, essentially. And so one of the intentions behind that statement is that ripple effect of that person taking the time to work on the healing for themselves and checking in and making sure they're okay helps the next person to them. And, the person that is closest proximity is going to be affected maybe the most, like that stone that gets thrown into the water, but it ripples in our community. I believe people are meant to show up big and play big parts in life. And for them not to is a loss for our community. And so, when people get to feel good and function well, they show up. They show up as their true self. And they get to cultivate that. The other thing is, I truly believe that as we heal individuals, that again, it's just a ripple effect. There's a collective wellness that happens.
That's great. That's great. Collective healing, collective wellness. And I am a big proponent for that, for the ripple effect. What I love so much about you is that, you hold people to this big vision that you see of them. You believe that they're supposed to show up big. And because you believe that, that's what you hold that space for them to show up in that way. Recognizing where they are, that may not be at that place at that time, but it's almost like creating that light, creating that beaming light so that, they can see that, hey, there's a path here. There's a way here. What I love, thank you, Shanae, authenticity is critical. It is key. What I absolutely love, especially when we're thinking about this healing portion in our body. I love when you said, once we get more energy in our body, we can channel that energy elsewhere. And as a mother, I will tell you, even just recently, my youngest son and I, we were having a conversation and he was like, Mom, I just want to let you know, in the last couple of weeks, I've been feeling so much love from you. And I was like, wow, that is awesome. That is so, so awesome, because it wasn't anything that I was, doing out of the ordinary. I wasn't doing anything like specific for him. I was doing something for myself. Like, that I'm actually on a detox right now. And so that energy is all connected. This is what we're talking about when we're talking about intentional motherhood and embracing the identity of motherhood, having that intention to know that the more that I develop myself, the more that I am honest with myself, the more that I embrace what I'm feeling, if I'm feeling lonely, if I'm feeling, overwhelmed, if I'm feeling super excited because I got a major win and I need to tell somebody about it, whatever it is that I'm facing, that is going to help me have a better relationship with those that I am parenting and with those that I love. It's that ripple effect that we talk about. And I feel like, especially when we are talking about moms and in the emotional space right now, there's a lot of fuzzy, there's a lot of fuzzy, there's a lot of cloudy, naturally so, because the environment is kind of, going a little haywire. But having that centered space and that grounding space internally, it allows us to show up regardless of what's going on around us, like regardless of the challenges that are going on, like really setting that vision and rebirthing or redefining what success looks like for mom, as a mom, for us individually, not what somebody else wrote the script, not what your grandmother, your grandparents and all that stuff wrote the script, but rebirthing your identity the same way you say, you know what, I'm going to go be a project manager. I'm going for this project management certification. It's going to take me 4 years. All those steps that you're going to put out for your career, having that same plan for your motherhood identity. Like, what does that even look like?
And motherhood identity, like stepping into those roles, requires that you care for yourself. You cannot fully step into that role and express yourself in your most awesome sense and all the gifts that you have if you're on empty. And we've talked about this before, that there is sometimes a belief in our culture that you give to everyone first and then you get the crumbs. You get whatever's left over and you hope you can piece it together. And sometimes you tell yourself that the crumbs are a feast, and they're not, right?
The crumbs are a feast.
But there are people that are, saying, if I can just get through this. And there are seasons like that. But I hope whoever's listening, whether it's today or whether it's a year from now, who knows? These things live on. But to know that you're worthy of the investment first. And it goes back to, I'm laughing because this is not something this is not going to be rocket science. But if you've ever flown an airplane, they always say, put the oxygen on yourself first and then help other people, help the person next to you. Motherhood is a lot like flying in an airplane. If there's a disaster, right? Like, you have to care for yourself, and then, you have something to give to the person that you want to care for next. And you gave a beautiful example of it when you talked about your relationship with your son now, like that you being intentional about this detox and about taking care of your health has allowed you to, show up in a way that he recognizes as a child, which is beautiful. You're teaching him that it matters for him to take care of himself.
Let me tell you something though, but this detox is serious, okay? Like this, this detox is not playing. I'm like, you know what? I only got a couple more days to go, but it's worth it. It's worth it. So
I've never heard anyone say that detox was really fun.
It's not. Shanae, thank you. The good nuggets. Motherhood is a journey, not a destination. And one of the other things I just want to plug in here too is because, in my work as a coach, as a trainer, helping women like building their brand, helping moms who, for me, my career is a part of my motherhood identity. Like some moms don't have that as their part of their motherhood identity, and that's okay. But for me, my career is a part of my motherhood identity. And I work with moms and I help moms who are building brands, who are building their careers, who want to be more visible. This aspect of self-care it's not just that physical piece like we're talking about today. It's that emotional piece as well. And so one of the chapters in my book is called Intentional Conversations, because here's the thing. We talk about using our voice as moms. We talk about using our voice, and we can see those patterns if we're not using our voice at home with our children, if we're not using it with our spouse, we're not using it at in our places of work or in our business. And those conversations that need to be had or need to be released, they are energy that is being stuck inside the body. And that energy goes to different places. And then we got to come to you, Dr. Carolina, and talk about we got problems going on. So
Yeah.
I really want us to connect the importance of these conversations, intentional conversations with your father, with your mother, with the people around you. It's really being honest as a mom, sitting down and saying, okay, I need to set aside time to embrace these conversations or learn how to have these difficult conversations, because it's only going to make it much more rewarding for us as mothers. And then our children get to see that. They get to see this demonstration of us not just ignoring or, running away from the problem. When we run away from the problem always running, chasing us back, so we tend to that's exactly
It
what
does.
happens.
It
You
does.
know it. You know it. You and I know it. You run from that problem right then, knocking on the door. Boom, boom, boom. Next job, I'm right there again. Oh, you thought you got rid of me? But we have to really embrace this concept, and this is one of the reasons why I really put all of these stories when I was writing the book. And I'm just excited to talk about it because I know what it has done in my life, just these practices and the awareness and the choices. And so it's my passion and mission to share it with everybody. So yeah.
I love that. And I'm so excited for your book. And so if you guys have not already pre-ordered Monique's book, there's an opportunity to just buy it now. It's out, correct?
It's out. It's on Amazon, girl. What? You see this?
Oh, there we go.
Intentional motherhood. Who said it would be easy? Look, the chapters in this book are on fire. So yeah.
Well, what better way to celebrate Women's Month than to get Monique's book?
You know what? I'm gonna agree with you there. But so now I know we're getting ready to wrap up. We're getting ready to close. But this was incredible. The book, A Uterus is a Feature, Not a Bug. The Working Woman's Guide to Overthrowing the Patriarchy is a Must. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you for that. And Jonathan is such an incredible, incredible mind shifting individual. We had some really great conversations. So I just want to say thank you so much, Dr. Carolina, for just saying yes when we were having our chat, to say, you know what, let's talk about this publicly. We know what we talk about privately. Let's share, let's give this knowledge and information to the community and show up here on LinkedIn, our professional network, because this is where we're at. So for those of you that are watching, Dr. Carolina's practice is here in the Buckhead, Georgia area. She will help you. As you can see, she's not just your everyday wellness professional. She's really all about that mind, body, spirit, and the whole being, the whole you. So make sure that you check her out. And then do you have any closing words that you'd like to share with our audience?
First of all, thank you. It's so much fun to be able to have conversations. They're meaningful conversations. They're ones that, looking back, you wish that someone would have had conversations like this ahead of time. So grateful to be able to share and be available. For people who are, want to dip your toe in the water and you want to know if the work I do is right for you, you can text my office number. I'm going to verbally say it, and then wherever this gets posted, we'll put it up underneath. But it's 404-482-3460. You can text it or you can call it. It's a secure line, and you're welcome to schedule a consult. That's complimentary. That's part of just giving back to our community, especially during this month. And let's see, where things are, if things are whispering, if they're yelling or not saying anything at all. And then for anyone who just wants some helpful tips, who doesn't really want to make a phone call or schedule a consult, but would like to know and have a reminder of some simple daily health practices that are going to help push them forward in their life, they can text the word ready to that same number, and I will get them that information.
Can you say the number one more time?
Yeah, that's important. 404-482-3460. And it's the Wellness Connection is the practice name.
All right. Well, thank you once again. And everyone, enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy your weekend. If you are in a sunny place, get out, sit in the sun, take some deep breaths, and just have a great, great weekend. Talk to you later. And until next time, be well.